You are now listening to the Drunken Monks Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again. I am Marlo Brown. That's Denise Fiber. And we are the Drunken Monks. Welcome to the podcast, y'all. Denise, good evening. We are a little lonely this evening, huh? It's just you and me this time, huh?
Back to the good old days.
Back to the good old days? Man, oh man. Dude,
Yeah,
Bye, but it's been a hectic couple of weeks. I won't tell you a lie, and I got to give a shout out to both Lisanne Charles and Quinn Delanoy for being gracious enough to have joined us. It was interesting as hell, and I definitely enjoyed the back and forth between the three of us, whether it was him or her. And we hope to continue in that. Let us know in the comments. Let us know with the email address that's in the description as well what you'd like to see and if you like it or not. If you ride with us or if you roll with us, just drop a comment and then we'll go from there. That being said, that was business. Now on to the show. Denise, I did some homework. I did some homework.
Aha.
I did some homework.
All right.
I did some homework. You wouldn't believe. All right. So for those that are uninitiated and not on the island of Curacao is about to have its parliamentary elections. And very much it is a jungle of information, quotes, knowledge, stances, a bunch of things. And for those who even are in the know and is on the ball, it can be a little bit confusing. So what has been a trend for at least, I don't know, maybe
For us, it's already confusing. Come on.
Huh?
For us, it's already confusing. I can't imagine people who are not here.
Yeah. And trust, I would love to read every newspaper article. I would love to check every interview, check every rally as much as they can have one in these times. I would love to do all of that, but there's no time and there is not much that you can grab onto that is being discerned in a clear and concise way. So you don't know who you're voting for if you're voting your conscience and you're voting your stances a lot of times. But then, what was that? That was a booty call, wasn't it? That was a booty call.
I didn't know Siri or something started talking to me.
Google is interested to know how you're voting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Seika, dude, the machines don't have us. Screw it. No, but all right. But then back on point. So basically, what it was that a trend that has been going on in the Dutch territories. I want to say Nederland for sure, because the first time I ever saw this was in Holland. But depending on the party, the party, they tend to have something called a Stemwijzer. And so instead of you trying to find out which party does what, they ask you a series of questions. It's like a questionnaire. Think of like a BuzzFeed quiz for your personality or whatever. Are you a carrier? So they ask you these things on your stances. What is your stance on like education and depressing questions? What is your stance on social type of justice and social nets and the economy across the board and as broad as they can usually. And based off your answers, they will point you, they've done the work for you. They will point you to, hey, all right, so these are the things that you say that you stand for. Believe it or not, this is the party or these are the parties that say, all right, you know what? We ride with you on these stances. And then it could easier give you a direction, not so much an individual, but just the party, that these are the directions that they want to go. Mm-hmm. And one of the radio stations here on the island, they were kind enough to try to put one together for the island of Curacao for this election. And I, myself and Denise, we gave ourselves the challenge to actually go through it. We did it. We got answers. Some of them I don't like.
I have to say, did it because I have no clue who I'm going to vote for. And I will vote. I won't let my vote go to waste because I think it's too important. Too many struggles have been fought. There were too many struggles to get this right to vote. Exactly. So I'm not going without voting.
Zoe Zoe?
It is.
No, but Zoe Zoe, then we got to say that like up front. Like anybody who says that, my vote doesn't matter or whatnot, so you are pissing on your ancestors' grave. Just plain and simple. And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, or whatever, because even even white people, even whatever, is just disenfranchised people have not always had the ability to vote within history. 200 years is a short time within the span of history, and everybody has done what they had to do. Women have, oh, by the way, happy International Women's Day. Women have had to fight for the right to vote. Black people have had to fight for the right to vote. Anybody who has had to fight, or your grandparents or your great grandparents have had to fight for the right to vote, if you don't vote, you're pissing on their grave. At the very least, that. Let's not get into whether or not that you believe that the system works or doesn't or whatever. Just the fact that you have it, you should exercise it just to at least move the needle a little bit left. That being said,
and just practically speaking, yeah, this pissing on your ancestors' grave, blah blah blah. I think practically looking, I also think if you don't vote for the next 4 years, you don't get to complain. I mean, we're gonna vote. We know it's going to suck, but at least I exercised my right and tried to sway the needle whichever way. The needle didn't sway that way. So I find that I have the right to complain. If you didn't vote, dan kan je niet eens gaan zeuren because you didn't even take the effort to try to influence the system or the situation in a way that's more beneficial to you or that's closer to your ideals. So hush.
Exactly that. No, but like it is what it is, man. Where I am concerned, I mean, I don't know if you want to get into it. We can, because this is, like I said, we were talking right before that we started to record. I'm pleasantly surprised at this list that I have. I don't know what you got, but I am pleasantly surprised and a little scared at like in certain spots. So
I'm not pleasantly surprised. I am surprised, but not really pleasantly surprised. But do explain your list, Marlo.
Okay, so all right. Outcome. So how the Stemwijzer had worked with the one that the Paradise FM had put forward, right? They didn't so much that you click on something and then at the end of it, they spit out which parties you are aligned with. What more happened is that they had answers to every question that they had, and they had basically the different sectors and whatnot. So that's how you kind of went through the whole thing. And it was up to you to kind of tally where you stand. With 14 votes, with 14 turf, with like stripes or whatever, I got Commune. Commune beat out Par with me with one vote. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I voted Par last term. You know what I mean?
It beat out what?
It beat out Par by one. And I can't even remember because I went through it so fast, I can't tell you where the point of differentiation was. But it beat out Par by one. And it kept surprising me that these are the stances I take on certain things. Oh, the Commune is right there. I was like, okay, all right. But this is where it gets really interesting for me, because Commune is number 1 with 14. Par is number 2 with 13 of my stances. You wouldn't believe who's tied for third. PNP.
Trabalho para Curacao.
Nah, dude. PNP and the Democratic Party. And I never
That is quite interesting.
I never thought that I'd be a PNP dude. Like and there's no shade towards that. There is no like yes, this or no, that or whatever. It's just from some of the stances that they've taken historically, some of the things that they've done. And again, this is purely on stance and comments and quotes and whatever. It could well be that certain parties are taking stances just to get a vote, and then once they're in that, they're going to change to like as well. Of the ones that I like to as well. That's how all the politics works, right? But I find it very interesting. Like I find it third place was DP and the PNP with 10. Tied for fourth was Cambio and PIN. Tied for fifth was third. So, yeah, tied for fourth. Sorry, no, fifth, fifth. Yeah, fifth. Tied for fifth was Mun and Mio and MFK. Swear to God, eight turf each,
Okay.
and everybody else. Vishona got four. I thought that
Yeah.
Vishon and me would have been, like simpatico. Vishon and me
But
got
the same thing
four.
for me. Well, I didn't count all of them because at a certain point I was just done with it. It was too long and too many parties all the time with the same answer.
Right,
But
right.
my top four, I didn't tell you exactly how many. I can't tell you this one was so filled, that one was so filled. But when I counted, surprisingly for me, my top four, Trabaho Pa Corsao, which is Ranox Kalmas, Commune, who is Luigi Venijten. I was also surprised at the Commune one.
Right?
Nog even worse, I should just beat myself. The another one that scored high for me was Corsaudi Nostur, that is Amparo. I don't know what happened there. I really don't know. I think the computer
Yo,
made a glitch.
there was one point when I was turfing when Amparo was
And then Par was also high on my list.
right. There was one point
And
when
then
Amparo
and
and him
then
was
for
on my
me,
list, man. Yo, I was ready to throw it a whole goddamn thing. I was like, nope, couldn't be, partner, couldn't be, boy, couldn't be. Oh man, dude.
but then and then to me also the same thing as you. I was very surprised. Fichon, that is that seemed like the up and coming party of young people of go-getters of progressive new thinkers, ended way low on my list. And as I've seen them develop also with their media campaigns and things, and when
No, but
they
here's
talk, I basically only heard the front man talking. I didn't hear anybody else. Het is toch niet zo, like it is hopi skuma, tiki chocolati, as we say here. A lot of
yeah, a
what
lot
is
of talking,
schuim?
no
A lot
action.
of
A lot of talking, no action.
fluff, and then no, exactly.
Right.
So it ended up also on the bottom of my list. Oh, on the bottom, it ended up lower on my list than I had expected.
No, but all right, but all right. Let me dig into Fishon just a bit because they have a point where I have a little bit of background with, and that one was the point that stuck out for me. One of the questions, or one of the like basically one of the sections was with Curacao being very much an oil based economy in the beginning, right? We have the refinery. There's been a lot of drama like around it, and right now it has been on Schitt's Creek for a good while up until the holding. I forget what the name of the holding was, but the same dudes that deal with North Sea Jazz and one and so right. But then up until the day bought into it, they were basically in limbo for the last maybe 3, maybe 4 years. I lost my job because of that, right? For those that don't know, I used to work within the petrochemical sector, and Fichon took a stance on something that I'm not so sure that I agree with. And by the way, one of the things too that adds to that whole how you land list is the fact that to answer a question, you had 3 answers. You had either for, against, or neutral. Some of the things I was neutral, and that's where I ended up being on certain spots with certain people. And with Sean, they had hard stances against certain things. Their stance was, should an alternative energy thing or an alternative source of income come into place of the refinery, and in the place of also meaning within that particular space of land or whatever, right? I'm not so sure that I agree with that. Like as the question was posed, because like the amount of effort that you'd have to do to get that turned around into something else, it seems a little, pie in the sky naive to me. I know what goes into a refinery. I know what happens when you have to break one down. And it's not a 1, 2, 3 thing. And that's when things are good. That particular patch of land has been bespoiled, and unfortunately, to the point where you literally have one of the landmarks called Asphalt Lake, where they dumped all of the byproducts and all of the bad shit and all of the whatever into the lake, where it's not a lake no more, it's just tar. You want to turn it around, God bless you, but that's not realistic in my view. And again, the question as posed, as I answered, as they answered, we ended up at crossroads. And for me, it was very interesting to see how both that the questions were posed and how certain people answered. So, for example, there was a point in time where they said that should the language of instruction in education go back to Dutch? I can't remember who exactly, but certain parties where I thought that it would be hardline no, they were either neutral or yes, and I was like, huh? Like, wait, no, but these people are very nationalistic.
Most parties were no.
Huh?
Luckily. Most parties were no, but indeed there were a couple of them. There were, I think, 2 or 3 were yes. I was like,
No, but then
the rest, yeah.
Sure. But it was like, a lot of questions that if you would just go by the optics of it, and if you would vote by your optics and so not do the research, there is a narrative given to, like, even though there's 1,000,001 parties at this point, there is a narrative given to each party, kinda. You know who are the elites, you know who are the educated ones, you know who is the party of the people, you know who are the nationalistic ones, you know who, like, you kind of know where all lines are if you live here for a certain amount of time. And yet still, this Kieswijzer, according to the data that Paradise FM had put forth, it still shows a little different. So at the very least, it shows everybody got to do the work. Just that's the thing that we've been touting this whole season. But you got to do the work, and you got to read. You got to do whatever. I'm sorry, you were about to say something, sweetheart.
Yeah, but it is difficult because what I've understood from journalists who speak to all the parties and in their efforts to make the news and to come up with interesting stories, I've heard that it's also very much dependent on who you speak to for the answer. So then I'm always like, but okay, doesn't the party have a bottom line, a cadre, which in all there can be diversity, but there are certain things that are non-negotiable. It should not matter if I speak to Marlo or if I speak to Jantje, if they're in the same party. Across the board zou ik ongeveer hetzelfde antwoord moeten krijgen. But what I've heard is that it also depends if you're talking to the party leader or if you're talking to the number 2, which to me is weird and which to me makes it even more difficult to make a good choice. So yes, we have to do the work, but it is difficult to do the work, actually, I find.
And not even that, right? Something that you said there like a minute ago also brings up even more anxiety and fear, because especially since 10-10-10, both Curacao and St. Martin have been plagued with party jumping and breaking of coalitions and whatnot. And so those things lead to that. If you and I are not on the same party line, then we might as well not have a party in the first place. And it leads to divisions and, like places where more politically astute players or whatever, or more wily players or cheating players or whatever, could sense division within the party and be like, all right, you know what? He is the weak point. She's the weak point. We could put pressure there and the whole thing will come tumbling down. And that for me is where, but I've said this, and while I am very individualistic, I am very, every man got to walk his own path. I do find that you group up because we all have the same-ish line, mind, or whatever, not for opportunity. What I'm seeing here, I'm not saying everyone, but what I'm seeing here across a lot of these parties is a lot of opportunism. It is a lot of, like, how many parties can we name within this that have at least 20 odd members, 20, 30 damn near. You know what I mean? I don't see that as each person having something to offer other than they come from a particular family, barrio, like district or whatever, and they're going to pull votes that are going to help us get the total up. And then number one, number two are going to go ahead. I don't find that interesting. I don't find that interesting politics. I would love to have had where there's a party line, number one, yes, and you can clearly see through the messaging, through the interviews, through everything, that yes, that these people stand for this. That's one. Two, I would like to see more than one superstar. I would love to see more than one Elsa Rosendahl.
Cannot be managed by two captains, huh?
Hmm?
The ship cannot be navigated by two captains.
It can be. Listen, it cannot be navigated by two captains, but you can have a hell of a first mate. You can have a hell of a crewmaster. You can have a hell of a cook. You can have a hell of a whatever your place is. You do the thing well. I don't need everybody to be a parliamentarian, but I do need somebody to be something, man. And there's a lot of rice. I find there's a lot of static in between the superstars. Everybody knows who the superstar is per the party, good or bad, but be it that you shirk or you're like a hero. If you're like a villain or like a hero, it doesn't matter. But there's a lot of rice. There's a lot of, okay, who's that one again? Why should I bother with that one? I know individuals. I know I have a couple of friends who are on a couple of parties and whatnot. So luckily they don't talk politics with me because fuck it. But I mean, there's who are these people? Why should I care? Why should I care? It's not about the party, it's about the number one and two.
But Marlo, what to you are the main points that are important for you that the political parties address? Like the radio station and the Kieswijzer, they came up with a couple of subjects. And of course, that is just their interpretation, and they try to be across the board. They had different topics, but what to you are really issues that you have to be on the same line with the party for you to be able to vote for them?
You asking me, the individual, or just what everybody's supposed to look for is what I'm asking.
How you know what everybody's supposed to look for?
Okay, all right. Well then, all right, Marlo Brown. Government reform has to be a top priority. Governmental reform, the civil service reform. I was surprised that they asked that question, and I was pleasantly surprised. They asked if the civil service corps should be reduced. On paper, I agree. I say yes. I know people are gonna are gonna lose jobs, and I don't want to take bread out of anybody's mouth. But at the same time, to say that the government works efficiently, properly, effectively, across history that has never happened. But Jesus Christ, you could trim the fat a little bit. And I've seen how the sausage is made across the board for a lot of things, and that's one of the things that I definitely see that if that works, the rest will kind of fall into place, because then if your government apparatus is working properly, your separate departments are working properly, and so thusly it'll trickle down. The second thing, education, that's always a big thing.
But why do you say why?
Oh, sorry.
But why do you say you were pleasantly surprised by the question about the civil service reform?
Because I genuinely think that that's a sacred cow. Like,
this discussion's been going on for probably 70 years already. So you cannot be surprised, because that komt altijd naar voren. We always need to cut the civil service apparatus.
No, all right. Okay, let me say it like this. I think it's the worst kept secret in the world that, at least in days past, probably now too as well, but to a lesser degree or more like undercover, that parties used to promise jobs. Like, if you vote for me, I'm gonna make sure that you or a particular family member or a person that is there to you will basically get a job. And used to create jobs. So you're the president of stamping. You're the president of the paper clips, right? And that created a bloated like apparatus within the Antilles across the board. Tim Martin had that problem, has that problem. Statia has that problem. Curacao, I've seen, has that problem like as well. And but from what I've seen in the past, you're not supposed to touch that. You know, it's there. It is a sore point. You want to work around these people. You want to wait until they retire and not hire another president of the paper clips. You know what I mean? But at the same time, yeah, like I've never seen like anybody say it up front. The discussions have been had in the back rooms, as far as I know. But beyond that, no. I don't know what you think about it, and I'm not so sure if I'm going to ask you your opinion about it.
No, my opinion is we need to cut in the civil service apparatus. It is long overdue, and we need to do it. And I think so many years already there have been advices that have gone to the minister in charge, like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is the way you can do it. But the minister in charge up to now, up to now has not really dared to touch the subject because it's a very unpopular measure and you don't want to take the unpopular measure.
That's what I'm saying.
You're thinking about your votes. Maar it is something, it's inevitable. It needs to be done. And the COHO, the Dutch entity that needs to regulate the necessary reforms, is also called for this. So we know that this needs to happen. It just needs to happen. It needs to happen.
No, but listen, there's a lot of things that need to happen, man. Like, I would even go in a little further, and this is what I wanted to talk about in the second segment, but we're kind of mutated, so we'll combine everything and then just call it George. But I also had my critique of the Kieswijzer or the Stemwijzer that Paradise FM had put forward. The reason being is because there were a lot of questions that were left off, like at the table. Justitie was left off at the table for me. The minimum loan, no kind of question about that. Tourisme, which is arguably the third leg of the economy here, nothing about that. The economy itself, besides the refinery, nothing about that. Hervorming overhead, besides the question of should we reduce the civil service corps, nothing about that. SVB, nada. They asked the question if a pardon should be given to illegals. Good start. But then what about een weg tot zeg maar burgerschap, weet je? The jail, bon fortuna. You talk about human rights. A lot of stuff going on up there that nobody, I mean, you've had exposés and whatnot, so maybe a couple of journalists. No questions. These are points too that I find that impact the day-to-day life here, and not one question was asked. You know what I mean? Like, or at least within the Stemwijzer. Let me be clear. You know. But that being said, is like, how do you square that circle here of there's so much that needs to be done. There is so much that needs to be done. SVB for me would be a big one. If you can clear that up, if you can turn it into a lean, mean fighting type of machine and everybody gets what they need to get and there's no abuse or little or no abuse or whatever, the healthcare gets dealt with in a particular way, especially now with COVID and all of that shit. It's been proven, there's something that needs to be looked at there too, like as well, with the hospital and how long the hospital took to be built, all of that. I would pose the question to you and to everybody else, like, what is important to you when it comes to your country? Not about voting, fuck the voting, just what's important to you when it comes to your country. And then you go down the road, you let it be reflected in your vote and in your actions. I'll leave the word.
But then again, I wonder, let it be reflected in your vote, blah, 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 allemaal mooi en wel. But with the system that we have, can you even, with the system and the level of political maturity, which is very low, can you be assured, or can you count on your vote. And can you count? Okay, in that, I make my list. I say these, for me, human rights issues are very important across the board.
Right.
There's any human rights issues. Economy indeed is important. The relation with the Netherlands and the relation with the other kingdom countries is very important to me. Okay, so I've decided, and I picked one that reflects most of what I want. But now this party is going to get one seat. How much of your agenda kan je voeren? Even if you get 4 seats, our system is such, or it grew in such a way, but by now you would have to form a coalition. And a coalition, you could do it with 2 parties if the parties are big enough, but it could also be a coalition of 6 parties. I'm not sure. We might be going to a coalition of 6 parties. And then how will my points be guaranteed? Because you're going to have to do water by the way, and you're going to have to give something to get something. And how are you going to negotiate it? And so what is my vote actually worth? That is what I'm really asking.
I would posit a statement and return a question back to you if you would allow me. And I'm going to keep it brief. The first thing is, and this is what I tell everybody, because I genuinely like I learned this a long time ago, especially dealing with like unions and stuff and whatnot. Your civic responsibility does not start and end with a vote. It is the biggest symbol of your thing. It is the biggest, tangible thing of your being a part of the country. But it doesn't start and end there. Shit ain't going right. You need to yell. You need to talk. You need to explain. You need to help change. If I find that a tax code is wrong, me as an accountant, I should not just talk to the leaders. I should try to alleviate people next to me that, hey, yo, the tax code is fucked up because I know why. And I'll break it down for you. You know what I mean? You're supposed to do more than just a vote. And that is where I think the political maturity that you were talking about, I think that's where that we lack. I think across the board, we don't understand that there's things that we can do in our daily lives that help the particular situation. If you want to run a marathon, you don't just jump up and run a marathon tomorrow. That's the voting. The voting is the marathon. You have to train. You have to practice. You have to eat right. You have to do whatever. You know what I mean? And then those micro decisions every day bring you to the point of where you can do whatever that you need to do. That being said, I would ask you a question. Do you believe in our as is? Practical speaking, everything is a woman. So do you believe that we have the power to, we, the people, we, Curacao, we, the islands, whatever? Do you think that we have the ability and the power to actually change? And not just like technically speaking, yes, everybody could change. I'm talking about, can this end up better for anybody? Because that's where it starts. Do you think, are you hopeful or are you cynical like at this point? Does this thing that we're in, this thing that we're all participating in, the society that we're in, are you hopeful for it? Or are you like, boy, dog done dead, I just live in my life and fuck it? Because I think that determines a bit of how you approach things too, like as well. If you don't feel like you can change things, you're not going to do fuck. You check one, man. I feel like I could change things. So I'll get up, whether or not it is not worth my time, whether or not it's a waste of time, I will get up and I will do it because I still believe that I could change it. You know what I mean?
But what are you doing to change things?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Don't know if I'm allowed to plug on this show. No, me personally, I come from a background of social activity. My mom was big in unions back in the day, back in Statia, and she was also big in like extracurriculars, so like the Little League and theater and whatnot. So I learned that mentality from her. And for me personally, right now, I've always been a nerd. I've always been a gamer. I have my own little group that I'm starting right now. We're hoping to go with foundation form soon, but I hope to be able to do something when it comes to education, technology, and the culture here. And because...
But then how does that tie into changing the political system?
Well, it starts from the ground up. If you change a man's mind, you change politics. That is what it is. Politics is nothing but changing minds. If I could change your mind, like, for example, take that gaming thing, right? Let's say that and especially if I reach out to the right ones who need it. If I reach out to a kid who is 13, 14, maybe 15, he's a couple of years away from his first vote, right? Where he starts before he meets me, he thinks that the system is rigged. He thinks that people are uncaring. He thinks that he is only for himself. He doesn't believe in any country, like, or whatever. That's what he came up in. He comes to my group or any other group, baseball, basketball, or whatever. And the right coach befriends him. And not just that he gets what he wants out of him, but befriends him, guides him, starts to mold him, shape him a little bit, and put that energy towards good use, right? I show him a better way. I show him, like, the system does work, but it's broken right now because nobody is participating enough. I might activate him to, like, do some more, and not just him. He might go home and tell his mom, his dad, his whatever. He might show them a different way. And with I giving him a path towards something else, especially when it comes to education and whatnot, you could see change, but that's just on one particular level. The problem is that it requires a lot of dirty work. It requires a lot of rolling up your sleeves and getting in there. And I think for us, especially as Black folk, again, like, there's a bit of a disconnect where the ones who got the knowledge don't like to do the dirty work anymore. That's just how I feel. And if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But I think that the ones that got the knowledge, the ones that could teach, don't want to teach no more because they've also been kicked in the teeth and been kicked in the head. Tell me again if I'm wrong, if you got a different opinion. Tell me.
You asked me a question like 500 hours ago, and then it became a whole thing.
Yeah.
So before I got the answer,
Sorry about that.
yeah, I don't see your gaming thing and how the politics coincide. And I think what that betreft, I'm probably a cynic. I think one always has hope because, if you don't have hope, then how you continue and for what do you continue? So even if you have a pessimistic view, and sometimes I have that, I think, je always still hope. Heel vaak denk ik van, het lukt niet, maar er is een kleine kans dat het wel lukt. So for the kleine kans, you continue. And to me, I think it is een beetje heel ver gezocht to say, okay, the gaming or the little, weet ik veel wat, will change the country or something, or will change politics. I don't. May
I ask you something?
I don't believe.
Just flat.
Yeah.
And no PhDs or whatever. What does good Curacao look like to you, or what does good St. Martin look like to you? Because these are the people who are closest to us, like at this point.
Good Curacao, good Curacao or good Curacao?
A country. What does a good country look like to you? So I would put, for one, as we just spoke about, a lean, mean fight machine when it comes to both SVB and the government. So what does good Curacao look like to you?
To me, a good country, a good Curacao, good St. Martin, good Statia, good Seba, good Bonaire, good Aruba, looks like it's a healthy country, where healthy in all senses of the word. So financially healthy, socially healthy, gewoon healthy, where every citizen or every person in the country gets opportunities to grow and to become to maximize their potential, where there's space for everybody, where everybody's included. Well, yeah, but living your best life, niet per se, because that sounds very you-centered. That's very one-person centered, but for the whole community, where you get the opportunity to grow and where there's space for everybody. and room for everybody and resources for everybody. To me, that is a good Curacao. And I don't think in our lifetime we will reach that. We won't reach a point where there will be resources for everybody. There's always going to be a group that hoards many resources, and the distribution is going to be uneven. In my lifetime, I don't believe that everybody will get the same chance and a fair chance. And in my lifetime, I don't believe that everybody will have the opportunity to maximize their potential. But that, to me, that would be a good country.
That'd be a good country. All right. Do you think that we got a good stopping point or a starting point, or would you like to continue like on the subject? And I genuinely ask that.
Let's move on to the next thing.
Let's move on. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Denise, welcome back. Man. Geez, oh, geez. Have you been trolling the socials lately? You know what I'm gonna ask. Have you been on Black Twitter lately? Have you been looking? Have you been seeing?
No, because you are my Black Twitter informant.
Party and bullshit.
All right. I swear that this was gonna be a rant, but I think I've spoken too much already for this podcast. But I will pose something to you. I will put it in front of you, and then I'd like to hear what you got to say, and especially again too for International Women's Day, because this kind of dovetails as well. Yeah. So, Prince Harry and his wife, the Duchess of Sussex, Miss Meghan Markle, Mrs. Sussex, or whatever the fuck. I don't give a damn at this point. Yo, they had an interview last night. This thing was a big thing. This thing was a huge fucking thing. This thing was all over the American news outlets, the British news outlets, which is basically most of Western fucking civilization at this point. And they were hyping up.
It made it in the West Journal. It was on all outlets.
Yeah, yes. But that's the thing. So this thing was on a radar for a lot of people. Out of pure morbid curiosity, I ended up tried to watch the thing. I couldn't get through the first fucking 20 minutes. I swear to God. So I turned it off, went to bed. I woke up. The whole fucking world changed. The whole world changed. The whole fucking world changed. And in that, because Meghan Markle got a droplet of black blood in her, because if you check the bitch, she don't look black. She is as fair-skinned as
no respect for
no colorism. There's no shade. She's a beautiful she's a beautiful Nubian goddess. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shading her, but she don't look black. She is very much light. You know what I mean? But anyway, Black Twitter went off. They circled the wagons around Meghan Markle and whatnot for the assertions that she made, and Harry too. Apparently, Harry's a lot of the cookout. Here's the thing. So apparently, if y'all haven't been keeping score, ever since Meghan Markle came into Harry's life, she's been, quote unquote, according to the press, according to the tabloid press, been disruptive to royal life. And especially when it comes to certain things. And they've been painting her. First, they painted her decent, especially up until the wedding. After the wedding, she became the villain, They've been quietly taking it, like living in peace up until that they made a bombshell thing about a year ago that I'm getting out of the royal life. I'm not going to be a working royal like anymore. Both Harry, so he had a legitimate...
What is a working royal? Working royal, volgens mij, is just something so that taxpayers are not going to complain that the money is going to some family... Dus dan zeg je, I'm a working royal. Wat voor nonsense, wat voor werk doen ze? Lintjes knippen en being ambassador voor zielige kindjes in Afrika? What is their work?
Alexander. Sorry. Excuse me. But anyway, but they stepped back.
Maar, okay, continue.
They stepped back out of royal life, and they've been doing it on their own like ever since. But the slander hasn't stopped, especially in the UK and whatnot. They finally got to say their piece, quote unquote, last night on CBS. It was an interview that was conducted by the great Oprah Winfrey, and I got my problems with that too. But anyway, we're gonna get to that at some point after you've had your say. And I swear to God, like this thing has been just juicy to me, but juicy in a way of this is a train wreck, and I'm just watching all the pieces, and I'm drinking my tea, and I'm just enjoying it. But the long and short of it is that they have logged.
But you said
No, sorry. I said what?
you said that they finally were able to say their piece or whatever. But why did they need to seek out publicity? Like, okay, you had a hard time in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible. For me, that was to be expected. Maar okay, misschien, yeah, if it's expected or not, it's still horrible.
Right.
You fled or you left that toxicity behind to start a new life. You're living your new life. So why do you now need to share with the world how bad it is?
I genuinely think, and I think this for all black folk. I think this for all black folk that is part of the diaspora. I think that there's a level of petty that it lives within all of us. That there's a level of yo, I'ma fuck this up. Give me just one chance. I'm gonna fuck this up for you because you were mean to me or you were fucked up towards me. And it was unfair. It was on this, was on that. So I'm gonna get my revenge. Revenge is never off the table for like black folk. We just wait and we bide our time and we.
Yeah, I don't think this has to do with pettiness. I think
Really? You ain't hear some of the shit? Oh, wait a minute. Did you watch it last night or not? Be honest.
No, I saw clips.
It's okay too.
No, I didn't watch it. I saw clips here and there. I
Right.
read a thing or two here and there.
Right.
But frankly, I couldn't care less about the royals and especially the Bulls. Ja, wat heb ik daarmee te maken?
That's my ultimate conclusion as well. But like I said, we are gonna get there because I do want to unpack this just a bit. You know what I mean? But it was interesting that on International Women's Day that the world believed, or at least part of the world believed, a woman, because Diana was in the same boat way back when, and that was a big deal when she's a white woman, of course, but was a white woman. But at the same time, like when she was like saying the same things, not a lot of people were willing to listen to her up until a certain point. She had her own cult of personality, and it followed her, and they believed her over the royalty. But a lot of the royalty is still believed to this day. And whether or not you agree with the system or not, I personally don't, for all kinds of fucking reasons. But I found it interesting that this is still a thing. And I found it interesting that in 2021, that when we cry Me Too, that when we cry Believe All Women, that when we cry all these things, Meghan was kind of alluding to these things from before. It's only now that she busts the pot like full, and she's not her. Harry was naming names apparently. But all these things came to the forefront and is not being dismissed outright. I know that there's a lot of juiciness to it, and they want the monarchy to be brought down a peg. A lot of a lot of down-to-earth people and not royal people or whatever. But at the same time, it is a little heartening to understand that a story is being told and is not being dismissed outright because it doesn't come from the right corner. You know what I mean? One of the things that was interesting...
No. Hold on. You say, the story is believed, it's not believed, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's because you are following American press. And of course, the Americans are on her side. A, she's American. Two, Black Lives Matter. Three, the whole situation in America with race relations being so out in the open and so painful and so raw.
Right.
Is heel anders dan in Britain. In Britain, I'm not sure she's being believed across the board. The support that they are getting in the States is not at all the support across the board in Britain. You should have seen some of the news reports, some of the horrible things that were said, and that people were saying, "Hey, it's not the time to talk about this because the grandfather is in the hospital. Why are they now crying? Because they chose to leave. The situation was not as bad. Meghan is making stuff up." Like all the things in Britain, you cannot say, yeah, finally she's being believed, because it is niet helemaal waar. So it is gewoon all perspective. And I think, indeed, don't forget, Britain used to be the colonizer of the United States. Dus er is een hele andere relatie. The United States, ever since they threw the British out, it's a republic. Dus er is een hele andere dynamiek. So yeah, so
okay,
you should nuance it a bit.
All right, okay. So then, that caveat being said, right? Let me ask some. Why is this even? And I think you and I on the same line for this one. Why is this even a fucking question? Why is this even a fucking question? The Western world champions democracy, champions votes, champions this. Why are we still, and Nederland, this is relevant to us. Why the fuck are we still holding up a monarchy? Why the fuck are we still saying that person is better than me because of birth and whatnot? And so, because that's what that monarchy means. That's the essence of the whole fucking thing. Ordained by God to be a king over country and men. Why are we upholding this shit? I genuinely found this entertaining in the end, because of the weird hypocrisies that came forward and the weird hypocrisies that were being exposed and whatnot. And so,
entertaining is not the right word, I think, because
I don't want to use Schadefred because I use it too much already.
No, but harm was done to people. Like Megan says, or in the interview, it's being said that she was suicidal and she wanted help, but there was no help. Blatant racism, and we already know that British society, or the institutions, let me rephrase it correctly, the institutions are racist. To me, all institutions of former colonizers are inherently racist. I know we're gonna get a lot of shit for this, but that's what I believe. So dat is niks nieuws, dat is niks raars. But I think in Britain, in the Netherlands, racism is way much more covert. Like, it's not overt like in the States. In the States, it is like all the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and you see it, and it's in your face. But in Britain, in the Netherlands, it is gewoon the older. It's onderhuids. It's hard to put your finger on it, but it has real life consequences. So in that sense, I think it's good that it's being exposed, because it is a painful wake up call for Britain, for the world. And there not enough attention is being. I think in Western Europe in ieder geval. Als we even Britain daar ook even onder kunnen rekenen. I think not enough attention is being paid to the ingebakken injustice, ingebakken racism and discriminatory practices gewoon in the institutions and in the DNA of the country. You know?
No, but how?
But yeah. Okay.
100% agree with you. And by the way, I 100% agree with that statement as well. Fuck the colonizers. Unless they're willing to meet me at my level and talk to me as a human being, fuck the colonizers. So, that being said, how would you want to square that circle? How would you want to This is where I find it very interesting. Yeah. And this is where I truly believe that people need to reassess and look at things and one and so. And I get mad when I tell you, I get mad. I'm probably gonna get flack within my family for this next statement. I get mad for Koningsdag. I get mad for. I understand.
Koningsdag, better known as St. Martin Juve. Thank you very much.
Amen. No, but I get mad for the idea of like a Koningendag or a Koningsdag. I understand I'm part of the country, born into it, got a passport. I'm not saying that I don't want to be part of the country. I'm not saying that, but I am saying, yo, parts of it still needs to be reconciled. Parts of it still needs to be dealt with and addressed and spoken to. You brought up the fact about the colonizers and everything else. The colonizers couldn't work without the demonization of things. It could not work without, yo, wij zijn minder dan, weet je? That one for me was, and a lot of folks, my own people, tell me, yo, Dread, let it go. It's past. No, it has not passed, brother. All the jokes I've had to endure while being in Nederland, working in Nederland, going to school in Nederland, you know what I mean? Like the low expectations and like the automatic shifting into a particular thing, the dirty jokes, just as how you said, they know how to hide the shit. You know what I mean? For me, it was.
But I don't know if it's even.
No, go ahead.
I don't know if it's even they know how to hide the shit. I think at this point, so many years later, I think it is not like people are not hiding it. It is gewoon niet, like people are not even conscious that there is inequality gewoon in the root or in the DNA of the institutions and of the country, let's say, of the monarchy, let's say. People don't even see it. So you cannot say that they know how to hide it, because if you hide something, then doing it intentionally, no, this is just something that we've inherited. It's not something that we've made, but we need to deal with it. En waarom gebeurt hier?
Pause.
See, yeah.
There we go.
This is something that we inherited and not something that is made right now. So it's also that goes back to the whole question. If you tell somebody, but that's race, like people feel offended in the Netherlands, at least is my experience. If you say anything about racism, because no, but I'm not racist. Nee, misschien niet jij, but the system is racist, you know? And it is very, very difficult
I like one
terms with.
I like one argument that neo-pro-black have brought forward. Yeah, you're not racist, but you're benefiting from that thing. Your grandfather or great-great-great-grandfather might have been a sailor on that particular ship. He got his particular aandeel, and now all of a sudden he's rich, and that got passed down to you. You know what I mean? Like, there is something in that. There is. I would love, but and I would say this, and I think this might be my last point the other night, right? I don't hate Dutch people. I don't hate white people. I don't like the system. I don't like the system that was built upon, and I truly believe that there are, I won't say the word, but there are people that are willing to help, that might agree with me, you know? At the same time, though, but you're not willing to dismantle the thing that has you where you are and has me where I'm at. You don't want to do it because it's too comfortable. That, for me, is where the discussion needs to be had. It is not, look, I don't want to break up the country. I don't want to leave the country. I don't want to move from the country. Actually, there are things about Nederland that I enjoy, that I love, that I whatever. I have my own opinions about the place, but I do enjoy aspects of it. I do enjoy people of it. Friends, I have lifelong friends that'll never give up for gold, that are blonde haired, blue eyed, the whole nine. You understand? I don't hate a I don't hate a culture. So I don't hate, period. But at the same time, to call out bullshit where it is and to call out where it is does not, it's not a binary thing. I love the country. When Nederland goes to the World Cup, I cheer along. You check what I mean? I'm part of the fucking tribe too. But you don't think that I'm part of the tribe. Or when it's convenient, you think that I'm part of the tribe. No, I'm part of the tribe. That's done with it. And let us talk and get the things right so that we're all part of the fucking tribe. That is for me the last point. That is for me like what it is and what it's gonna be. Like, get it right. Let us include everybody. Let us enjoy everybody, you know?
But I think that's an important point you make. Like, we are not part of the tribe. Like, we are part of the tribe, but others don't feel that we're part of the tribe. And I think that's exactly it. And I wonder if that is exactly what happened to Meghan as well, you know? Once they were dating, it was like, you finally, somebody of color, yay. You know, we're in a post-racial world. Kijk hoe fantastisch it is. But the moment that you're going to marry, you are like, hoe duidelijker, like how much clearer and how much symbolic can it be to become part of the tribe? You know, if you're dating, you're still not per se part of the tribe. You komt even kijken, it's fun. But when you marry, and especially you marry into a family, and there you really marry into a family and into an institution, like clearer than becoming part of a tribe you don't have. So you need to make space in that tribe where you don't feel that you need to. I'm not saying that the royals maybe, but the British, the press, and the press is a reflection of the society. So people don't necessarily feel that you're part of the tribe, and you get penalized for that, I think.
I will say this one last point. Like, I will say this one last thing. I think that there is a difference between American sensibilities and British sensibilities when it comes to sentimentality, right? And that's so the whole thing that you're talking about.
Everything.
Sowieso. But my invalshoek is about sentimentality, and I think that they weren't ready for Meghan. I think Meghan and Obama share a particular like history or gene where they got into a place they were not supposed to. And they have to exhibit the bigger man thing or the bigger woman thing where I have to walk with grace and poise and all the shit while you throw stones and tomatoes and whatnot at me. And I think that while Obama had a responsibility, he had a country to run on. So I don't agree with everything that he's done because the glasses are off at this point. But I think that Meghan looked at it like, yo, Dre, this is pretend. This is make-believe. Fuck you. I don't have to uphold these fucking things anymore. I come from what I come from. I was moneyed before. I'm not some fucking foundling off the street. I had money before this dude. You know what I mean? And I met him. I enjoyed him. I liked him. And so this and that. And that little bit combined with the pettiness of, I'm going to fuck you up if you fuck with me. I think that's what all this came about to. I think like she squared that circle for herself and like, yo, Jed, I'm going to blow the whole goddamn thing up because I don't believe in the institution anymore. Americans, while they romanticize certain shit, before Meghan, there was a Grace Kelly in the world. That was a story back in the 50s. That was a story back in the 40s. 2021, Meghan Markle's like, yo, Dred, my pussy is the bomb. I look good. I make my own money, and I don't need him. And so thusly, I don't need y'all. I love him, though. So I will fight for me and him. And this is what it is. I think that's where it came to. And again, I applaud it. I applaud breaking down the walls and institutions and bullshit that are bullshit. You know what I mean? Fuck the monarchy. I swear to God. ours as well. Not fuck them as in let them die. I don't want nobody to dead or whatnot and so, but I do think that is a very antiquated institution. By birth, you're better than me. Nah, it doesn't work that
Yeah,
way.
I think monarchies are not of this era anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
But the question is how to abolish them, because like back in the day you had wars and then you would just behead the king or something, and then you would say, we're done with the monarchy and the revolution, and now you have a republic. So I'm keen to see if we can dismantle the monarchy, if like how that would go. And I also agree with I think it's time. It's been going on for a long time, but I think it's time to start questioning, like, for us, what does ons koningshuis? Like, they're doing stuff, but does that weigh up to all the money that the people are paying them? Like, why should the people pay you for your philanthropy or whatever it is that you do? Yeah, I think those are discussed in the near future.
And a tax-free Koningsdag does not compensate, dude. It does not. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. No, but I don't know about.
A lot of people say.
No, go
a lot
ahead.
of people say that the monarchy has a symbolic function, and it's about unity and keeping things together. And I'm thinking, anno 2021, there are other ways to unify the people. And if you look at our own kingdom, I think we can put serious question marks at unity. It's what you said. Are we part of the tribe? We are part of the tribe, but are we really? So in the unification in that process, I don't see that the royals at this point play a role. So we need to have these discussions within our own kingdom of the merit of the monarchy and the ways that we need to unify and can unify. So yeah.
I think that's a good point to end on. I think that we've reached it. Hey, I don't know why, but it's sad. Sad this last fucking moment. I don't know why. I would honest to God, I would love for everybody to come together. A little bit of kumbaya. But we got a ways to go, and I definitely plan on fighting that fight. And yeah, just we'll see from here. Denise, unless you got something to add, love, something to plug, something to do. Wait a minute, hold on. Before we end it, I got a question. Do you have anything that you're looking forward to in the weekend? Do you have a particular thing that you are gonna do or see? Because weekend passed and I'm fucked up with you because you didn't bring me any bread. But weekend passed. You did something interesting. You did something cool, and something like that is what I'm looking to hear from you. If you're doing anything interesting for the next weekend as well.
Okay. Marlo is being very cryptic as usual. Last weekend, I went to Casa Palo Maishi, which is a museum in Curacao, which replicates or which has the old time houses, and it's totally ingericht. What is ingericht?
It is.
They have all the furniture and set up, yeah, like the olden days. And you can go for tours, and every now and again they're giving workshops of traditional things, cooking traditional things. I've already did a workshop how to make sopikadushi, so a cactus soup. It was just fun to hear about the tradition, to see how it's done, to eat it. I never had sopikadushi. I haven't made it since. And now, this last weekend I went to make the pangsera, which is one of our typical breads. And I must say it was good. So it's that they have these workshops and to keep the things alive, the culture alive, that the knowledge doesn't go away. because the lady also who gave it is an older lady, and she was telling so many things, about our herbs, about the customs, about how they used to use the oven and all these kind of things. And it's just valuable knowledge that within one generation would just disappear if we don't do anything with it. So I mean, support your museums, and support things, support history. That's what I did last weekend. This coming weekend, it's just gonna be beach and beach and beach. I haven't seen the beach for a couple of weeks, and that is super long for me. So I'm gonna be beaching this weekend.
Beaching this weekend. All right. I will be dadding this weekend, most probably, because our friend Kring is not gonna get together like anytime soon. So yeah, but nothing to plug, sowieso. Wait, no, I do gotta give a big up to the boys at Bar P, if I'm not mistaken. Their podcast talking about politics and whatnot. So those boys have been doing the best to try to get everybody to sit down with them and give their stance, give their whatever. So at the very least, give a bigger, give them a look and see what's going on. I think I'll link into the description once post is done. Beyond that, yeah, I think we're done. D. I think we're done. I think I've spoken too much. Voice.
Right.
Jesus Christ, y'all! Thank you all for coming out again this week. Thank you for supporting us so far. All those that watch, all those that have subscribed, all those that have followed on the Facebook page. Thank you, and we do mean it. That without us or without y'all, there's no us. Denise, you look like a goddess every fucking time. I will say goodnight to you. I will say goodnight to our crowd, unless you got something else to say. Peace.
Sayonara. Deuces.
This is what it is. Later, guys.